Hello and a very warm welcome to Eye in Africa with me, Sanam Shantier. Here are the headlines this hour from across the continent. Ethiopia's ruling party chooses a new leader. Abiye Ahmed is set to become the country's prime minister amid the worst anti-government protests in 3 years. Donald Trump gives Liberian immigrants 1 year to leave or face deportation. Residents of the capital, Monrovia, react to the controversial new policy. Also coming up, a tete-a-tete with a Congolese Belgian artist. Baloji speaks to France 24 about his Afropean identity that brings together a blend of rap, funk, electro and African rhythms. We start with Ethiopia, where the ruling coalition has appointed Abiye Ahmed as its leader. This has paved the way for the 42-year-old to become the Prime Minister of Africa's second most populous country. This as the government grapples with a domestic unrest. Our regional correspondent Tom Gardner has been following this story for us.
This is undoubtedly a hugely important moment in the history of the EPRDF, the ruling coalition, which came to power 27 years ago. It's the first time in its history it's chosen a leader overwhelmingly in response to popular pressure. Dr. Abiy is clearly the popular choice in large parts of the country, and specifically in Oromia, which is the kind of epicenter of the Ethiopian protest movement, which started 3 to 4 years ago. One of the key demands of the Oromo movement, the Oromos represent more than a third of the population, is for greater representation in federal structures and in all levels of government. Dr. Abiy, therefore, represents a victory for the movement in that he is the first Oromo Prime Minister in 27 years and arguably the first Oromo leader in the country's modern history. However, the extent to which he will really be able to fundamentally change the country and the country's politics remains to be seen. He's made reformist noises in the last year and a half. He's reformed his wing of the Oromo wing of the coalition, made gestures towards greater democracy. However, fundamentally, he is a party insider. He's been in the EPRDF his entire political life. So whether he has including in the military and intelligence services, importantly. So the extent to which he has the will and the capacity to reform the country and the EPRDF remains to be seen.
Over to the United States and another controversy surrounding Donald Trump's immigration policy. This time, the US president has said that several thousand Liberians who've been living in the country under a temporary immigrant status will have only 1 year to return home or they'll face deportation. Many of these Liberians escaped the violence of conflict and have lived in the United States for decades. Let's now listen to some reactions from the capital, Monrovia.
Those Liberians that are in America, you have doctors, lawyers, engineers among them. And we need them to come back home and contribute to the development of this country.
There will be a huge economic burden for the government of Liberia. Remember, this government is a young government that has just taken over with a broken economy, virtually nothing to start with. So repatriating these people back home who are sending millions of dollars here to their relatives and families here, I mean, it's going to be a huge tax for the Liberian government, both for the families and the government.
I support the idea because the reason here is this. Liberia, it is our home. Let the brother and sister come back. Let us help the government to build Liberia. We don't depend on another person's country.
Now, Africa is home to more than half of the top 20 longest-serving political leaders in the world. One of them, Chad's president, may now be allowed to stay on until 2033. Idris Deby could even be granted greater powers under constitutional changes. These amendments have been recommended by National Conference, who've also advocated for eliminating the post of Prime Minister and creating a fully presidential system. Moving on to tensions at Terminal 2 in Nairobi's international airport. A Kenyan opposition politician has tweeted about his detention in the toilet after he refused an attempt to be deported amid lingering election tensions. A High Court judge has since declared Kenya's Interior Minister, along with 2 other officials, in contempt of court for disregarding an order to immediately release Miguna. Now to some news on our own network. France 24 is now available in Kenya on digital television, making it the first international channel which will be accessible for free. So welcome to our new viewers in the country. Karibu. Now, earlier this Wednesday, a team of our managers visited Nairobi to launch the channel.
Mabibi na mabwana, hamjambo. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour, soyez les bienvenus.
France 24 is now available in 56% of Kenyan homes. The channel's managers were in Nairobi this morning to share the company's editorial approach with local media.
We are a public service. We are not a governmental service. It's very important for us. So we're not Voice of France or something like that.
The goal? Allow English-speaking viewers free access to international news.
La chaîne anglaise est en train de grandir. Et là, le fait de passer sur la TNT publique pour une chaîne de service public française au Kenya et de doubler le nombre de foyers où on le reçoit, c'est absolument merveilleux. On est très fiers de ça.
The station has already been covering the region thanks to its network of correspondents.
For France 24 English coming to town, it's like diversity. A lot of new things that were never told will get a chance to be told.
14 million Kenyans can now watch France 24 daily. That's on top of 355 million homes that get the channel worldwide.
Now, one Belgian-Congolese hip-hop poet is cooking up a melting pot of sounds that reflect his Afropean culture. Now, that's a person who relates both to Africa and Europe. Baloji's latest album, 137 Avenue Kanyama, which is where he was born in Lubumbashi, has been garnering rave reviews. The singer-songwriter sat down with one of our music critics, that's Rochelle Harrison-Pless.
Est-ce que l'on peut joindre le futile à l'agréable avant qu'il ne se réduise à une peau de chagrin?
His name means sorcerer in Swahili. So it's fitting that Belgian-Congolese musician and poet Baloji has cast a spell over music lovers. His new album, 137 Avenue Kanyama, an explosive cocktail of sound.
It's a journey with 3 different chapters, and I would love that they listen to it from the beginning till the end, because he has like different small stories. I'm proud of that because it's to create a record that is an experience.
A sonic landscape that traces Baloji's roots. Where the Congolese rhythms of his birthplace meet the electronica of the country he grew up in. Infused with a hearty dose of funk and hip-hop. The 39-year-old, who launched his career as part of the Belgian hip-hop crew Starflam, wasn't always keen on the music of the DRC.
I just didn't want to listen to the same record as my parents. It was just like it sounded boring to me. But then working on a sample of Manu Dibango just helped me to reconnect with Congolese music as a sample one of his tracks on my first album, on the song called Tout ceci ne vous rendra pas le Congo.
Today, taking inspiration from both his Belgian and Congolese heritage, Baloji says he identifies as Afropean.
One complement each other and vice versa, and I think that's the thing that I'm the most proud of, is that I can embrace each part of my identity.
Baloji's melodies and rhythms are crossing continents faster than ever before. Thanks to social media and the soaring growth of 4G in Africa, he's able to take listeners on a journey, whether they're in Brussels, Boston, Lagos or Lubumbashi.
Well, on that musical note, that's it from us this hour. Do stay tuned for news coming up with Mark Owen.